This episode, we're going to be talking about Juneteenth, like I said earlier, talking about, how, we can all come together to celebrate this U.S. federal holiday, and how you and even the people in your network and companies and organizations, how you all can be allies, how we all can be allies and continue to do better as a society and as a nation to treat underrepresented groups, not just Black people, all communities of color, how we can break down those walls and shatter the glass ceilings as far as making an equitable country and an equitable space for everybody. Seanydoo. Hello, and welcome to Situaseans podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Williams, aka Seanydoo. You can call me Sean. Seanydoo. Does not matter to me. I'm just glad that y'all are here. And today, this is a solo-sode, and the solo-sode is for a reason, because today is June 19th, Wednesday, June 19th. And do you know what that means, y'all? So some of you may know, well, I guess a majority of you may know or should know that as of 3 years ago, this day was marked a federal holiday, Juneteenth. Yes, you heard that right. Juneteenth, let's fucking go. I just wanted to kind of dedicate this episode to kind of bringing awareness around what Juneteenth is and how you can honor the holiday, honor those that came before us, as far as, like the Black community, as far as like our ancestors and like that were enslaved and, that were pretty much, like taking advantage of, stolen from their homeland, brought to the United States to be slaves. And, and that cycle of trauma definitely continued generations and generations and generations. And we're still dealing with racial injustices and different things that happen to us as not just Black people, but everybody in the, Black and or person of color space, like, anybody in that BIPOC space. So yeah, I just really wanted to kind of just highlight Juneteenth, and really get you all up to speed and kind of just soak in that for a moment, just for this episode. I just want to take a little bit of your time, and I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. If you are listening via audio only, and if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, if you're, I'm going to describe it to the listeners that are only listening in audio only, but I'm wearing a t-shirt that says, July 4th with July 4th crossed out, and it says June 19th is my Independence Day because my people weren't free in 1776. Like, that's powerful words right there. Like, think about that. Black people were not free during, like America's Independence Day, July 4th, in 1776. Like, we weren't even freed at that time, although the country was quote unquote free from the foreign powers of, the Queensland, the motherland, but Black people still weren't free, So I think by just having Juneteenth as a national, as a federal national holiday in the United States, I think that, that definitely speaks volumes. And we're definitely going to get into that. And I have a little listener submission that kind of ties in with today's episode as far as like a hinge or unhinged prompt. So it was pretty good to kind of come across this one that a listener submitted just in time for this Juneteenth episode. And all the other episodes that I typically record way in advance in a time machine because, I have so many things going on outside of just this podcast. And so I want to make sure that I'm not like scrambling for guests at the last minute. And even for this Juneteenth episode, this is probably the only episode that I actually recorded very close to the date that it comes out. Like I'm recording this maybe 2 weeks ahead of time, at 2 weeks before Juneteenth even happens. But by the time this comes out, again, this is already Juneteenth, like at the time that you're listening to this. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I gave a lot more centralized research and focus on this particular episode, because I want to give you all the facts and give you all the resources that you can take back with you to be allies for not only Black people, but underrepresented groups, not just in the United States, but in the world. So wanted to kind of just highlight that. But again, yeah, all the other episodes that I typically do, we record in a time machine like 3-4 months in advance, because I have all my guests pre-lined up. This is the only episode that I was like, I'm going to just block off this episode and shoot it closer to them, because I want to have everything that I need for this episode. I did have a couple of guests that I had wanted to have on the show, and one of the guests I had a scheduling conflict with, just opposite schedules. And then another guest that I reached out to, they were interested in doing it, but then they kind of just went silent. And I was like, well, I'm not sure why, but I had offered, virtual or in person, whatever works for them, but they just never responded. I'm like, all right, well, we got to keep moving. The show must go on. And so today's episode is going to be handled by yours truly. So I am excited to jump in, and yeah, a couple of housekeeping items really quickly. So first and foremost, thank you all for tuning into this podcast. This podcast means the absolute world to me. Having done this podcast, started this podcast last year, and now this is year 2. We're continuing to go. Like, we don't take breaks in this podcast. We release every other week, and we just keep on going. Because I know some of the podcasts out there that I listen to, especially like some of like the bigger podcasts, some of them take breaks or kind of like inconsistent. I'm like, no, come on. I want my episode. Like, I've been waiting, X amount of time for this podcast to come out. So here at Situaseans podcast, we don't take breaks. The only time we ever take a break on this podcast is if it's like, yeah, there's a technical issue or something happens and there's an emergency, and maybe there's something happened in my personal life or what have you. And it's like, okay, I got to handle that. But no, we don't take breaks here. We continue on a consistent schedule. And I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. And also, I just want to say as well, just thank you for tuning into the podcast, because this podcast is about dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. Ooh, fucking we. But today, like I just said, the Juneteenth episode, we're talking about life experiences. So that's going to be the kind of focal point of this episode. So I want you all to subscribe to the Patreon as well. Go to patreon.com/Situaseans podcast. There you can see all the behind the scenes content. I do, like kind of ad hoc vlog updates. I call them Situaseans Raw, because it's not like produced like how these regular episodes are that you're currently listening and are watching. The Situaseans Raw episodes is pretty much just like recorded like selfie videos or whatever. But it's really juicy content that I never even talk about on this podcast. So if you want all the juicy content, head over there to the Patreon, and also post behind the scenes photos and, and updates and stuff like that. Ad-free episodes, the list goes on. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to the Patreon folks that are over there and in that community. I really appreciate you all. And also, don't forget to give us 5 stars. Give us a 5-star rating, because when you do that, it helps others find this podcast, and people can see, oh, wow, a lot of people are liking this podcast or commenting or leaving a review. This podcast must be really good. Let me tune in too. So please, 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 if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us 5 stars and then leave us a review if you feel so inclined. I would appreciate it, because when you do that and when you share this podcast, it's a drip of love on my heart. Drip, 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 submit, submit, submit. And I know it's been a long time since I've said that, so I'm bringing that back. I need to put that on a t-shirt. But still, yes, submit, 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 drip, drip, drip. And if you want to submit your materials, submit any of your stories, your questions, whatever it is that you want me and my guests to unpack on a podcast, go to situationspodcast.com/submit. All right. So now that we got the housekeeping items out of the way, I want to kind of, pretty much get you all kind of queued up for what this episode is about. So this episode, we're going to be talking about Juneteenth, like I said earlier, talking about, how, we can all come together to celebrate this U.S. federal holiday, and how you and even the people in your network and companies and organizations, how you all can be allies, how we all can be allies and continue to do better as a society and as a nation to treat underrepresented groups, not just Black people, all communities of color, how we can break down those walls and shatter the glass ceilings as far as making an equitable country and an equitable space for everybody, So that's kind of like the goal here. And there's a couple questions that some of you out there had submitted and wanted to know more about as far as Juneteenth. So I was like, absolutely. Let me take those questions and unpack it here on the show. So I'm excited for that, y'all. I'm really, really, really excited. So kind of just going from the top of the key here. So, I did have one question that did come in was, what is Juneteenth? Now, if anybody's out there laughing or snickering or whatever, come on, let's not make fun of people, because maybe somebody hasn't been aware of what's been going on in society as far as maybe they've heard about it, but maybe they don't watch the news, or maybe they're not, maybe they're purposefully tuning out. So I had a question that came in that was asking, what is Juneteenth? Well, I'm going to give you the official, definition, the textbook definition of Juneteenth, so that, you can't say, Sean is just spewing bullshit or whatever. So I'm going to give you the research textbook definition of Juneteenth. So Juneteenth is a chance to celebrate how far racial equality has come, and to highlight the ways it needs to still improve. And so even though slavery ended, racism is still a problem. So, there are ongoing inequalities in income, employment, healthcare, criminal justice, and education. And so Juneteenth is a holiday that highlights all of that highlights, hey, here are the different inequities and here are the different injustices that are still going on to this day, 400 years later. And these are ways that we as a community and as a society can come together to to recognize this holiday first and foremost, and use that quote unquote holiday day off to immerse ourselves in research, immerse ourselves in education and awareness and activism and positive politics, and being able to, again, tie that all back to closing the gaps of that racial inequities and injustices. Trying to improve your skincare game? Guess what? I got a little something for you. You can improve the health of your skincare with the Vogue approved. Yes, you heard that right. Vogue as in Vogue magazines, the models. Yes, that Vogue. The Vogue approved beauty product, Herbal Face Food, the most potent anti-aging, multi-correction skincare product on the market. Yes. So hit that link in the show notes or video description and use our code SPHFF to get 20% off at checkout. Visit herbalfacefood.com to get started. That's herbalfacefood.com. All right. And use code S as in Sam, P as in pineapple, H as in Henry, F as in Frank, F as in Frank to get 20% off at checkout. That's SPHFF to get 20% off. All right. herbalfacefood.com. Okay. Y'all got the hookup. So let them know that Situaseans podcast sent you. All right. So Juneteenth became a federal holiday in the United States as of 2021. So I'm gonna kind of just pull this up for you real quick. So President Joe Biden, he had signed the bill on June 17th of 2021, making Juneteenth like the 11th American federal holiday and the first to obtain legal observance as a federal holiday since Martin Luther King Jr. was designated as a holiday in 1983. Like, wow, like 40 years ago. Like that was the last time that like we got like a holiday recognized as a federal holiday in the United States. So yeah, it's good that we as a society are trying to our best to make amends and try to be more aware. And I want to say woke, but these days, oh goodness, like woke is almost like such a cliche word because of course the far right and or, TikTok or whatever, like I'm not saying TikTok is far right, but I'm just saying, just so many people just use woke in such loose terms that it really kind of devalued the word woke. And so, yeah. And even with this, I just remember, I remember learning about Biden signing that bill, 3 years ago. And when it became a federal holiday, because that was like literally during COVID. So that was like 1 year into like the pandemic. And mind you, we all remember, unless you were living under a fucking rock, we all remember the murder of George Floyd. Like literally a year before this bill was signed. Like this bill was signed this Juneteenth bill was signed as a national holiday. So as a federal holiday. And so, yeah, with the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, but he was murdered. So if some of you, again, I'll kind of do a really quick recap for some of you that may have forgotten or may not even know, because again, I know the audience that listen to this podcast, most of the audience, at least 95% of the audience lives in the United States, but there's a certain percentage of audiences that live in other countries. So just to give a really quick recap for those that are outside the US and or may have been under a rock. So George Floyd was an African-American man who was going to the store. I think it was going to like a corner store or whatever to get something, and the cashier had accused him of using a counterfeit $20 bill or something like that. And so the police came onto the scene, and Derek Chauvin and a few other officers were there on the scene, and they were pretty much let's just call it what it is, harassing George Floyd and pretty much just kind of putting him. Just making him just seeing him as a criminal, and and there is no proof. It's like, and that's the one thing about being black in America. You're guilty until proven innocent, which is fucked up. But yeah, that's literally what happened. So the cops are pressing George and they put him in the back of the car. And then at one point, George doesn't want to get into the car because he's like, hey, I didn't do anything. Can you just can we just talk about this? Can we just talk like civilized people? And yeah, so they're trying to force him in the car. And then one thing led to another. And mind you, local bystanders are recording this on their phones. So the white officer, Derek Chauvin, he pretty much puts George Floyd on the ground. And George is chest and stomach is facing the ground. He's on the ground, with his hands behind his back. And Derek Chauvin has his knee on George's neck, literally leaning and putting pressure on George's neck. George is telling him, please, Mr. Officer, I can't breathe. Please, 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 please. He's pleading for his life. And for all of those, literally, what was it? It was, I can't remember the exact time, between, the time that his knee was on him and the time that George Floyd had passed out and then, died on the scene. But within those minutes, yeah, he lost his life. He couldn't breathe anymore. He couldn't get air into his lungs because again, Derek Chauvin had his knee on George's neck. Long story short, he was murdered right there in front of in front of so many people, and people up and like the people like they were pissed. They were like, what the mind you, this is like in the late 2010s when starting off in 2012 with the Trayvon Martin shooting, a young boy who was only who was goodness, how old was he? Just a young man. And then we have all of these different people of color, like black people, in just dying at the hands of cops. Sandra Bland. The list just goes on and on. So it's just frustrating that, again, you can't be black in America and live without being harassed or being seen as a threat or being seen as dumb or being seen as a wild animal. But anyway, so yeah, there was during 2020 in America, there was just a bunch of civil unrest, and other parts of the world. Some other countries were frustrated as well. They were protesting as well. Thank you to all the countries out there that was also protesting. Yeah. And so that happened during the pandemic. And then, of course, Ahmaud Arbery, a black man who was going out for a jog and was assassinated, literally shot by what was it? 3 white men that were in a truck chasing him down. This is the fucking South. This is the fucking, Jim Crow era, and it's just frustrating thing. But, and then Breonna Taylor, the list and the names go on and on and on. So mind you, by the time 2020 rolls around, we're like a decade into people uploading and sharing videos of police abusing their power towards black people. So, of course, when George Floyd was killed in broad daylight and he was not a threat, literally that set off everybody in the fucking world, because we were like, enough is enough. Stop killing black people. Stop killing people, cops, first and foremost. Stop killing black people. Now, to my cops out there, I know that not every cop is bad. I'm not saying that. I know that in general, cops get such a bad rep because there are so many bad police out there. I'm not saying that every cop is bad. However, I just wish that a lot more cops would speak the fuck up and not just hide behind their shield or hide behind their badge and hide behind the Blue Lives Matter shit. And that's the one thing too about Blue Lives Matter. How the fuck can Blue Lives Matter be a movement, or quote unquote, we'll call it a quote unquote movement, because it's not even, I just have a hard time recognizing that. And yeah, if that means that I'm going to lose some of my audience by saying this, then that's absolutely fine. You shouldn't be here in the first place. If you really care more about a blue life, which again is not a real life, is not a real person, over a black life. And this is where I'm going to get into it, because blue life is a choice. You chose to be a cop. Nobody woke up or was born fucking like saying, oh yeah, I'm going to choose to be black. I came out my mom's wound and I'm purple and I'm going to choose to be black. Nobody fucking choose to be black. You fucking are born fucking black. Blue Lives Matter. You chose to be a fucking cop. You're not born a fucking cop. All right. So for those of you that say Blue Lives Matter, just think about that for a second. I understand. Yes, a cop life. Yes, their lives do matter because they're a person. People's lives matter. But just because we're saying Black Lives Matter, it does not mean other lives do not matter. We're just saying that nobody seems to really recognize that a black life is still a life. And that's what Black Lives Matters mean. And we're not saying white lives don't matter. We're not saying Asian lives don't matter. We're not saying Latin or Hispanic or Latinx or Hispanic X lives don't matter. We're not saying that at all. All we're saying is, hey, we as black people, we matter too. So again, after that George Floyd, after like that incident, it started a whole movement with the Black Lives Matter. I mean, of course, Black Lives Matter started in 2012 or 2013, if I'm not mistaken. But of course, the movement really got a lot of traction after this, because this was just this is a senseless killing of an unarmed black man at the hands of law enforcement. And we got it on camera. And mind you, if we did not get this on camera, Derek Chauvin would not be, he would have got off scot-free, because so many cops before that have gotten off scot-free. And the fact that there was a video with this, of course, that made it different too, because again, there were videos with some of these other incidents that happened before, but it all started to line up. And of course it was like, okay, enough is enough. And on top of that, literally the entire world was watching. So of course, law enforcement and the government, they're not going to say, oh yeah, we'll let this guy get off scot-free, because they already know, oh shit, because for some of you that don't know, there were riots and like there were peaceful protests, and then there were also riots. People were looting the streets, like killings, and just like robbing stores, and, flipping over cop cars and torching shit. It was a fucking mayhem, especially in Chicago, because the Chicago police is another whole corrupt ass system. But yeah, there was so much civil unrest. The government, law enforcement, they all knew, yeah, we can't fumble on this one. They knew that they had to convict Derek Chauvin, because if they didn't convict him for killing George Floyd, best fucking believe, like, it'd be fucking total anarchy on this entire fucking U.S. civilization. I promise you that. So, yeah. So I'm sorry that I went off into a little bit of a tangent there, but I just needed to get that out, because I wanted to, again, illustrate what kind of started the whole, I guess, the federalization of this Juneteenth holiday and making it an actual holiday in the U.S. Because, yeah, deep down, my personal opinion, because of all the social unrest in 2020, when Biden signed that bill to make Juneteenth a federal recognized holiday, behind closed doors, I just think that honestly, the government was just like, because let's be real, government don't really care. Like, they don't really care about Black people like that, or people of color like that. Because like, think about the zoning laws, redlining, all the things that were done to keep Black people in poverty and keep Black people out of power. So of course they don't fucking care about us the way you think. But anyway, because of all the social unrest, yeah, of course the government was like, yeah, well, like, let's just take this loss here, and we'll give the Black people a little holiday so that they don't try, so that they don't get upset, because they're pissed at us right now. Let's just give them this holiday. That's the way that I feel. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's just mine. So yeah, at the end of the day, signing that bill was probably the least that the government could do to recognize, Juneteenth, especially, given America's problems with accepting African Americans. That's always been an issue, till as old as time, So I'm not going to spend this whole episode giving you like a history lesson on why Black people have always been the butt of every, terrible, I guess, terrible leaders, like decision, because like, again, like Black people, we just exist, and people just really want us to suffer. Not everybody, but I'm just saying, like, the people that are in power, the powers that be. So yeah, that's that's pretty much a little bit of my spiel. So yeah, so how did Juneteenth come about? So, kind of going back into the definition of what Juneteenth is. So Juneteenth commemorates, and this is pretty much, I guess, the more centralized definition of Juneteenth, the more standard that definition. So, and this is, this is definitely, I want you all to really listen to this. So Juneteenth came about because that Juneteenth commemorates the day that slaves were notified in Galveston, Texas, of their freedom 2.5 years after President Lincoln issued Emancipation Proclamation. And so until General arrived with the announcement, many Southerners moved those enslaved, to Texas, hoping to evade the executive order. June 19th, 1865 was the day more than 250 Black slaves were freed. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And first and foremost, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, is just fucked up, like how the government and the system or people just try to find a way to kind of fuck over Black people and use these loopholes. Because a lot of plantation and slave owners moved their slaves and plantations further south to evade the executive order. This is exactly okay. First and foremost, Texas, I love you. Don't take this personally. Please don't take this personally, Texas, to the state of Texas. But this is exactly why, Texas is known as the Lone Star State or off the grid, because Texas always wanted to make their own decisions, but they still want to get the benefits of a country. They still but they want to act independent, but they still want to be part of a country. It's like, pick a side, pick a fucking side. Again, Texas, I love you. I love you very much, Texas. I've been down there, always a damn good ass time, but I'm just saying, with your history, Texas, come on. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, can you do me a really quick favor? Can you please rate and review this podcast? Like hit that 5-star review, because I do read all the reviews because this helps me know how this podcast is helping others and how this podcast is serving you, because my job as a host is to serve you this podcast the way that you would prefer it to be. I'm glad that, at least we're trying to do more work to, again, break down those barriers and those inequities that happen, especially within our system. And so according to kudoboard.com, and this is an online employee recognition and appreciation site. So specifically within the workforce, only 3.2% of senior leadership roles are held by African-American professionals at large by U.S. companies. This falls to 0.8 within all Fortune CEO companies and positions. Like, wow. Only 3% of senior leadership in America are held by African-American employees or candidates. That's really fucked up. Like, you have a population, you have a melting pot of a country with people of all ethnicities and all different professions, all different talents and skill sets and everything in between. And only 3.2% of leadership in U.S. Are held by African-American candidates and employees. Like, that's something else. So, and it's even a smaller percent, like 0.8% of 500 CEO positions are held by Black people. That's another thing too, because there's so many inequities that happen in the workplace, in the corporate workplace, especially as a person of color. I can speak firsthand to it. I have been lucky as shit that I was able to get a really good job in the corporate space, but I can't tell you how many times, like, coming up and just trying to get that experience, like out of college, like over a decade ago, coming out of college, trying to get that experience and trying to work my way up, or someone sees my resume. Oh yeah, because I have a white sounding name, Sean Michael Williams. Oh, of course, let's hire this guy, or let's at least get an interview with this guy. They see me. Are you Sean Williams? If I got a nickel for every time, like, I've heard that, like, are you Sean Williams? Or, wow, you're so well spoken. Like, that irks my fucking soul, because it's frustrating, because it's just like, damn, Karen, hide your prejudice a little bit better. Like, we're in a work environment. I don't know. It's just very odd and just very fucked up that, I mean, yeah, you're going to hear me say that a lot in this episode, that's very fucked up because, yeah, these are the inequities. So, you know, I've been very blessed by like the universe like out there and above. Somebody's looking over my back, a guardian angel, somebody, because yeah, for me to be a black man, literally when, like the first time I ever made six figures in a corporate setting was, I was 27 years old. Yeah, I was 27 years old at the time. By the time I was making six figures, yeah. So I'm 32 now, and so it's just there are a lot of people that look like me that don't even make a fraction of that. And I've just been blessed that I've been able to, you know, this is the first time that I've ever talked about like my earnings or income or whatever. You know, I'm not going to give like, you know, like my salary, but I'm just going to just, you know, yeah, just put it out there. Like, yeah, the first time I was in the 100,000 a year and more as an earner in income, I was 27 years old. Now I'm 32. And of course, like, yeah, you know, I'm still, you know, still there, but it's just like, yo, like, I lucked the fuck out. I really lucked the fuck out. But my upbringing was you know, it was the way that I was brought up. Again, a lot of you already know. I like the way that I was brought up. I shouldn't even be here today. I really shouldn't, because I've gone through so much trauma, abuse, you know, trigger warning, you know, so many things happened to me as a kid, and even just growing up in a negative environment, growing up in the South Side of Chicago, like growing up in Inglewood and West Lawn, like, yeah, I shouldn't be here. Statistics say that I shouldn't even be here, but I fucking made it. And look at me, I got my own podcast. I'm working my fucking ass off. I'm doing so many things to make my life better. I'm moving to California to pursue acting even more. I'm doing musical theater. I'm doing film acting. I'm doing all these different things. I'm doing what makes me happy. I'm doing music. But yeah, a lot of people, especially black people, a lot of like black people that come from where I come from, there's only probably like maybe 1% of people like me that look like me that came from where I come from, not just Chicago, but just any fucking slum or any fucking terrible neighborhood in the US that look like me, that has gone on to do better things for themselves and that have and that make what I make a year. So that's why I say I lucked the fuck out. Somebody gave me a chance in the corporate environment. I took that fucking chance and I worked my fucking ass off to prove, hey, I'm fucking worth it. I'm worth the fucking value that you're putting into me, and I'm gonna make this company so much fucking better because I'm gonna do everything that I can in marketing, communications, public relations, social media. I'm gonna do everything that I can to show you that, hey, I'm worth it. Hey, I'm a person and I'm worth whatever it is that you're investing in me as having me in as an employee at your company. So just doing that marketing job led to another marketing job, which led to another marketing job. So yeah, I just lucked out. So, you know, black people, we are a traumatized people and we are a traumatized race because of 400 plus years of being slaves in the US. We won't even like go back in history and just count like, you know, like even before then. But as far as like the US goes, yes, over 400 something years of slavery. And we are still dealing with inequities and injustices in the US. And so that is why Juneteenth is important, because it needs to realize that, hey, Black people, even though the country was free and was free from the, you know, again, the motherland powers in July 4th of 1776, Black people weren't even free until what, two years later? Like, come on. Come the fuck on. So yeah, Black people, we can't even get it. Like, yeah, it's hard for us to move up in a corporate environment because if your name is ethnic or urban, you have less likely of a chance to even not alone move up, but you have even less chances. I forget what the exact percentage is, but you have a very higher percentage of your resume being tossed the fuck out if your name is some urban name that clearly indicates that, oh yeah, that person's Black. Like if your name is Jaquan Brown, best believe they're gonna throw your fucking resume out. It doesn't even matter if you went to fucking Harvard. Doesn't even matter if you hold fucking 2 PhDs. If your name is Jaquan, like, and of course an employer is gonna be like, I don't know about this. And if you say I'm wrong, then you're part of the fucking problem. You're part of the fucking problem.
Situaseans podcast is an open platform covering dating, relationships, mental and emotional life experiences. If you are looking to advertise your brand or product or would like to sponsor the show, send an email to situaseanspod@gmail.com. That's situaseanspod@gmail.com.
I wanted this episode to really be a learning lesson because, again, Black people are traumatized people and we are owed reparations. And I'm not even going to get political, but I mean, fuck it. We're already here. So just think about this for like really quickly. Like I love everybody. I love all different races, all different creeds, religions. Like I love everybody because I taught myself to love and accept everybody, no matter what what they look like. It's all about what's in here. It's all about what's in your heart. If you got a bad heart, I don't care if you're Black. I don't care if you're white. If you got a bad heart and a bad character, don't fuck with me. Like go somewhere else. Like I don't want that energy here. But so again, I love all races and I celebrate everybody. All the differences, all of it. I celebrate all differences because differences is what makes us unique and makes us what we are. And as a country, this melting pot of what it is. But reparations, as far as like, think about the Jewish community, like they have so many different like Holocaust museums and so many different, different like, I guess, initiatives and things that kind of highlight the things that Jewish people went through during the Holocaust. And so like their descendants and the survivors that are still around today, they're honored and they're recognized. And don't get me wrong, Black people are honored and recognized, especially those that have been around during the civil rights movement and so on. But there's so much money and resources that have gone into Holocaust survivor, like either like families or Holocaust survivor awareness and so many things that have so many monetary value and things that have been poured into the Jewish community. It kind of hurts that same amount of attention isn't being, I guess, looked at or examined and given over into the Black community. So that's something that has to change. It would be nice to see reparations. Like, I'm no politician here. I'm just saying that, yeah, how can we bring more awareness and more resources to Black people and people of color? How? Because I don't have all the answers. I'm just one person. But I'm more than happy to be part of that initiative. I'm more than happy to go out there and do the legwork because I've done the legwork. I've been to protests. Like, I've been out there protesting like my butt, especially during like the race riots and everything that was happening in 2020. Oh yeah, I was out the fuck there. I was there. So yeah, I just want better for all of us. So one of the listeners has submitted a question. They submitted was, how can our company celebrate Juneteenth? This is a great question right here. And so I had a kind of like surfed like different websites to kind of just see what the resources are. But as far as some good ideas and kind of just like Frankenstein a little bit of a list together. But here are 12 ways that I, at least that I think, and that, other websites and other people out there on social media kind of compile and think. But here are 12 ways that your company can celebrate and honor Juneteenth. So, one is host a lunch and learn. Love that, because if you got any questions about what Juneteenth is or how we can be better about accommodating and celebrating diversity, let us know. That's a great idea. Play a Juneteenth trivia game. Love that, because you get to see who knows what as far as Juneteenth and everything that kind of goes around that. And if they don't know, then now they have those flashcards, those answers, right then and there. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. And then, host a Did You Know campaign. I like that. That's really cool. Create a quote wall, a wall of just different quotes from activists, Black activists, political leaders, people that have done the legwork to move things and progress things forward. I like that. A surprise employees with a Black-owned business gift box. We love supporting Black-owned business. We love that. So if there's gift baskets, if there are cards or business cards or anything that lets people at your company know, hey, here are some businesses that you can actually support for to not only keep their business running, but also it brings good products and services to you. And if you're making those recommendations to your friends and your family, now you're creating business for them. And now, they can provide and put into production more goods and services that help you as well. So it's a two-way street. It's a two-way relationship. A charity drive. We love a charity drive. Give employees paid time off. Go all the way the fuck off. We love that. Give employees your time off. So even in my job right now, we get Juneteenth off. And actually at the time of this recording, I was my last day was this past week at my job, and I'm starting a new remote job so that I can transition and move to California so I can have that flexibility to work anywhere. But anyway, at my previous employer, we had Juneteenth off as soon as it was recognized as a U.S. federal holiday. We got that off. So give your employees a day off. Organize a book club. We love that. I'm going to drop a link to Juneteenth books and resources that you should look into and add to your reading list. And host a cookout or barbecue. Now, as Black people and people of color, y'all know we love a barbecue. We love a barbecue. We love a cookout. And I'm sure y'all have heard the phrase, you're invited, so-and-so is invited to the cookout. We like that. So to all my white friends and all my, non-African-American folks out there, host a cookout. Do a cookout and have your employees or your friends or whoever bring dishes. Ask your friends of color, your Black friends, to bring certain their favorite dishes. Now you get to try some soul food. If you don't know what that is, well, you're gonna find out when you try it, because once you try soul food, you locked in for life. You ain't gonna want nothing else but that. So and distribute informational materials. We love that. Give awareness and bring awareness to people. It's brochures, pamphlets, anything that you can hand out, or even digitally. Come on, guys, we're in the smartphone. Well, I mean, we've always been the last decade we've been in the smartphone era, but you know what I mean? We're in the QR codes came back. You all remember that in the early 2010s when QR codes first popped off, and then it kind of just disappeared. And it wasn't until 3 or 4 years ago that they just automatically started to just pop back up. Well, now we're back. We're back in the QR code game. So if you don't want to do physical or spend money on the cost of print production materials, do QR codes. So do that. Organize organizing the Opals Walk. Yes. Organizing a walk, especially, or a marathon, or anything that kind of surrounds awareness, bringing public awareness and attention to initiatives like this is important, because people all around definitely come to sponsor those walks and events and runs. And that's how you get a lot of different vendors and a lot of different goods and services. That's how you kind of get awareness about all these different organizations and communities. So yeah, host and or sponsor a walk. We love that. And invite, and last but not least, invite local Black artists to display or share their art. Whoo, this one spoke to my soul. If you are a business and you want, especially a mom and pop shop, and you want to highlight the people that's part of your area or community, or even introduce the people in your area or community to new works of art, new services, other expressionists, let's just put it like that. Yeah. Allow and or invite people that are creators, whether physical creators or digital creators, invite them to share their materials and post, on your windowsill, like allow them to leave a business card at the door or something like that, or put a sign up in your window, or even digitally do a collaboration. Like, come on, guys. Instagram is one of the most powerful social media tools to bring and attract attention and awareness. All you have to do is, if you're posting about something like a small business, let's just say, I don't know, Joe's hardware store, and Joe's hardware store is in a I guess we'll just say like a diverse community or whatever. And I don't know, we'll just say Jackson, the artist, he wants to highlight his hip hop dance club or his hip hop initiative or whatever. And what if he did like a cool like dance in front of Joe's, store? Now there's a collaboration. Like you could tag the artist or whatever, do a dual collaboration on Instagram. Now it appears on both your profiles. Now that's cross promotion. Now people it's like, oh wow, you know what? I never do that. Joe's hardware or whatever is that cool, and that they're that hip, or that they care about the supporting local artists. I'm gonna follow them. Now you know what? I'm gonna get my tools from them, and now I'm gonna do this for them, and then vice versa. Like the Jackson the artist or whatever, like the hip hop dance artist. Like now the people in his network is like, wow, oh my goodness, that's so amazing. Like, you know what? Like, yeah, like that, let me get more involved. So yeah, do it. All right. Awesome. All right, I got a hinged or unhinged listener submission that I'm really excited to unpack. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of just jump on in. Thank you so much for submitting this to the listener. This one is perfect for this Juneteenth episode. So this as far as like the hinge or unhinged prompt, we love a good hinge or unhinged prompt. So this prompt says, a social cause I care about, racial equity and justice, passing policy that protects BIPOC and equals to the playing field. We love that. And again, to those that don't know what that means, BIPOC, BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color. So just to kind of let our foreign friends know what that means. So yeah, this is fucking hinged as shit. We love fighting for racial equity and justice. We love that. And yeah, passing policy that protects people of underrepresented groups, under-resourced groups, to level the playing field so that we can all have an equal opportunity, and not just a fake ass equal opportunity that these companies be doing. Like, oh yeah, we care about our Black people. It's February, it's Black History Month. Or, oh, we care about our Black people. It's Juneteenth. We care about them for a day. Like, no, if you really care about your fucking Black people, promote those people that deserve it. Promote the Black people at your company that have done the fucking work. So hire people that are qualified for the job. Even if you get a guy named Jaquan who has 2 fucking PhDs, he could probably turn your fucking companies around like in the best way possible. Bring your ROI and your earnings fucking through the fucking roof more than Connor Smith can. Okay. So yes, please level the playing field, please. So I agree. That is very hinged. So yeah, thank you so much for the listener for submitting that hinge or unhinged prompt. That's the only one that I got for today. So yeah, that one was really, really, really good. All right, y'all. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Again, this was just a solo show. I wanted to just be here, just you and me, you listening to me and just hearing me out and hearing like my stance on Juneteenth and like the resources and things that I believe that needs to happen to make us get to a better place as a country. I just want to say thank you for hearing me out. And again, that's another thing that Juneteenth is about. It's just about hearing the voices of people who have struggled in the communities of underrepresented groups that have struggled, especially communities of color. So, especially Black people. We love all people. We do. But we need to give our Black people, our brothers, our sisters, so much more love and grace, because as Black people, we are a traumatized people. We really are. We really, really are. And I hope that more Black people continue to look into therapy, look into these different social services to get help, to get the help that they need. Because I know as a Black man, I'm so happy to be in therapy. That shit helps. So yeah. Get yourself a licensed counselor or therapist. To my brothers and sisters out there, it's time to stop saying therapy, that's that white people shit. Like, no, therapy, that's that everybody shit. Everybody needs it. Everybody. So yeah. All right. So there are 3 ways that you can submit to the show. The first way is you can email the podcast, situationspod@gmail.com. The second way, you can send a listener submission, situationspodcast.com/submit. And the third way, you can call the hotline 312-586-2664. All right. Let it go to voicemail. And yeah, you just leave your voicemail submission and we'll play it here on the show and unpack it. It's an anonymous, again, that's the best way that you, if you want to, if it's easier for you to call in and leave a voicemail, do it. Because I'm going to tell you now, like with the voicemail service, whatever, no one's going to pick up. All right. It's just a hotline. It just goes right to voicemail. So yeah, leave a submission. So whether you're at home, a plane, a train, hell, if you're at a cookout right now celebrating Juneteenth, first and foremost, I want to say, save a plate for seanydoo, thank you. And on top of that, yeah, give each other a hug. We got to love each other, y'all. We got to love each other. And so, yeah, I love you all. Continue to help this podcast grow as well. Support, rate, review, subscribe, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere. And with that, I will see you all back here for the next episode in a couple of weeks. Have a wonderful Juneteenth. I love you all. See you soon. All right. Woo!